I just finished What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. I'm Quinn Moon, I write queer fairy tales, and I love spooky books. Today, I get to talk about What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. It is the second book in the Sworn Soldier series. I finished What Moves the Dead last month and immediately pre-ordered this so that I could read it as soon as it came out. I received it last week, set aside some time this weekend, and I completed this in 4 to 6 hours. I think it was like 5. So it's a very short read, and I'm a pretty slow reader, and I really annotated this book. So really good, really quick, completely worth it. This book follows Alex Easton as they traverse back to their home country of Galatia with Angus, his mustache, and the lovely Miss Potter. However, upon arrival, they immediately realize something is amiss. The caretaker has died, the lodge is in complete disarray, and there is something very creepy about the surrounding woods. From the very beginning, we get the sense that something is very amiss, and not only because of the isolation of the lodge, with an emphasis on hunting lodge, but because of Easton's soldier's heart and their symptoms that start manifesting themselves in what we would call today PTSD. We are immediately immersed in this very creepy, very disturbing setting that is just steeped in Galatian lore. The woods seem to be brimming with creepy creatures and, supernatural entities that just seem to be popping around the corner at every turn. And that really adds a very believable chill to this old world village. Galatia is a place where, even though the world is at the turn of the century and we're moving away from superstitions into science and logic, that hasn't reached Galatia. Galatia is still very superstitious. They believe in the supernatural. And even the people representing the movement forward have this fundamental worldview of these superstitions kind of innately built into you, that when all logic fails, there's always the fundamental belief that it might be something supernatural. And I thought that was very well done, because this book is just brimming with so much lore of the world, and I thought it was very smartly added in so it doesn't get overwhelming and you get, a couple pages of nothing but myth. It was very well executed, so I wanted to keep learning about the lore and all of these, demons and creatures that are supposed to stalk the night. So I thought that was extremely well done and very effective in building the atmosphere of the book. The plot progressed really well, and the intensity really built up as we moved through the book. Easton's character was much more developed in the sequel, and we get to experience their trauma and their background. And because of the way that the story is written, Easton's less than positive features of themselves are turned into a point of strength. I think that was very sensitively and cleverly executed as a means to set the stage of, this isn't something great, but that doesn't mean it always has to be bad. And I don't know if we would have had any resolution if Easton hadn't had the background that they had. So I really liked the way that was executed. I also loved, there's a lot I loved about this book. I really liked this book. But I also loved that at the end, there was resolution, and there was peace, and there was mercy and kindness. In a book that's about the creepiness and about these terrible things happening, it got pretty disturbing at one point, as you would expect in a horror book. But the ending didn't have any bitterness in the characters. They accepted this trial almost, and they accepted that some things simply are, and there was no bitterness or hatred. And I thought that was a really refreshing way to close a horror book in mercy and kindness. So I thought that was really unexpected. Not to give it away. I'm not telling you how it happened, but the resolution was very kind. Another thing I liked about this book was Kingfisher's use of language. she saw the English language and she knew immediately it did not fit her needs. And she didn't settle for it. She created a culture, a language, a social structure that made Easton part of the norm. There was nothing strange about Easton being a sworn soldier, unless, you were the American from the last book. Everyone knew what a sworn soldier was, knew who Easton was, how to treat them, and that wasn't even part of the plot. The whole focus of the plot was the creepiness, is all this like terrible stuff that's been happening, but none of it revolved around their identity and who they were. And I loved that. I found the use of their pronouns fantastic. And I have to say, that's probably one of the most unique things about this book. And it's done really, really well. So I really loved that. I highly recommend What Feasts at Night, even though the first book was possibly one of the best books I've ever read. I think this is a fantastic, very solid follow-up. This is spooky, atmospheric, immersive. It's creepy. I did feel creepiness. I think that this is a great sequel. And that isn't always the case. So I was a little nervous, but this is fantastic. I highly recommend it. I would love to have amazing discussions. So if you've read it, please comment. I love talking about these books. They're kind of everything whenever they come out. Thank you for indulging me in this. Is this a review? I'm not too sure. But thank you for indulging me regardless. I can't wait to catch you on the next book. Bye.